Most of us know our Western zodiac sign, which is typically referred to as our star sign. There are 12 of these signs, which govern whoever was born within roughly a month. But what are the characteristics of those with these signs? Well, let us tell you. Everyone knows when Aries walks into the room. This person will be striking to look at, will carry themselves well, have strong features, and will often have red, auburn, or chestnut hair. They will instantly want to join in any conversation they happen upon, either with a chatty remark or with a strong opinion. The sign of Aries rules the head, and Aries likes to tackle situations, indeed life as a whole, head on, dealing with what they perceive and often diving into confrontations rather than thinking around the situation first. They can be hot-tempered individuals, often boiling over in response to a situation before they calm down. However, Aries is a vibrant, warm and friendly personality who will often dominate conversations. Indeed, they love the sound of their own voice. They are usually physically active people, enjoying hot, sweaty sports, brisk walks, and anything involving heat. They are passionate lovers and prefer being the chaser in love matters, but this will also depend on their Venus and Moon sign. Cardinal, positive fire is the most outgoing of the cardinal signs, the rushing, all-consuming fire of infernos. They will push for what is best for them, and are always at the forefront of what is going on. They are often loud, boisterous, assertive, and competitive, but also upfront, open, honest, and lovable. Taurus is steadfast, loyal, and reserved. Being an earth sign with the fixed quality, they will be more cautious than other fixed signs and will want to keep their feet firmly on terra firma. Taurus usually has a slow and measured way of talking, and they may well have large heads with curly or wavy hair, which is brown or brunette. Their necks are strong and well formed, and they often have melodious voices. They prefer a conservative lifestyle, wanting to keep to traditional and tested ways, being wary of trying out anything new. They are also very good at conserving what they possess, be it goods, wealth, or produce. Taurans are often fond of gardening and farming, being good at husbandry and practical tasks. They are very attached to their possessions and can be materialistic, becoming set in their ways unless persuaded to venture out of their fixed pattern of life. The fixed earth, negative quality of Taurus means that they are inward looking and very resistant to change, being the most fixed of the fixed signs. However, they usually have an equable temperament and a quiet and thoughtful disposition, being very dependable and trustworthy, but they can also be possessive. Fixed earth is the smothering nature of earth which surrounds us, so people born under the sign of Taurus should be careful not to be overprotective, both of their possessions and of their loved ones. Gemini is a positive and mutable air sign, so there will be a quick energy in this person, along with mental agility and a restless air of nervous energy. Geminians are often dexterous too, gesticulating to emphasize their speech, and may also be fleet of foot. Communication means everything to Gemini, and they love to chat, gossip, and generally pass the time of day. They are inquisitive and show a lively interest in others' goings-on. The internet age suits them entirely, as they love all types of social media and are often prolific posters. When Gemini enters a peopled space, they will quickly scan it to see if there is anyone that they know, and will notice everything about their surroundings. Often beset by worries about making the right decisions, the duality of their nature means they see both sides of a proposition and may regret making one decision instead of another. Geminis can make good actors, as they are adept at hiding their true self and becoming someone else. This is part of their nature, and they can be described as two-faced, especially if they are inclined to gossip. They may also find it a challenge to complete tasks, often lacking concentration and having many projects on the go. The air of Gemini is mutable and positive. being the rushing wind slathing through the treetops. Their positive, mutable nature can make them quixotic and frequently temperamental. They will often be spontaneous in their actions, being genuinely reactive rather than proactive, but will tackle a project with gusto if it absorbs their interest. Cancer is a cardinal and negative water sign, giving us someone whose nature is complicated by many influences. Cancer is the protective mother sign, and a typical Cancerian has a wish to nurture, protect, and care. They will have an emotional and sympathetic nature, and will readily lend a listening ear to the woes of friends and family. Cancer may also have a tendency to hoard. Their home is very important to them, and they like to be surrounded by objects and possessions which give them a sense of security. They can also be nostalgic and sentimental, so will enjoy having items of memorabilia dotted around their home. They are usually close to kith and kin too, and may be drawn to live where they grew up, surrounded by familiarity, or they may develop a close circle of supportive friends in their chosen locality, creating a family. Cancer types can be oversensitive and will react to perceived slights in a snappy way or retreat into sulks. They should be careful not to brood over past hurts, which can lead to peevishness in older age. As well as being protective, Cancer often likes to feel protected and will develop a hard shell, just like the crab, to appear braver than they really feel. If they are threatened, they will react with a sharp comment or a sly punch or kick. They will also react swiftly to attacks on themselves and their family. Cancer, being a cardinal and negative water sign, is an outgoing person who is also conflicted, brooding and reflective. With the moon as its ruling planet and the water as its ruling element, Cancer's cardinal water is the moon reflected in still waters, usually serene but also subject to disturbances from agitation on its surface. Leo is a positive and fixed fire sign, so Leo's fire is contained and predictable fire, like the steadily blazing fire in the hearth, providing warmth and a focal point in the home. However, if stoked too much, it may get out of control or blaze too fiercely. Similarly, Leos can become overexcited or too full of themselves, making some people tire of them. Leo's ruler is the sun, which all the planets revere, and Leos do love to be the center of attention. However, their fixed nature can make them resistant to change and somewhat controlling. Although self-expressive like the first fire sign, Aries, Leo needs to be careful of the fixity of their sign, which can cause a block to their creative urges and, indeed, their willingness to entertain different areas of thought. Predominantly, Leo is open-hearted, genuine in their friendships, and generous and loyal towards their loved ones. They want to be liked and recognized, and enjoy being the center of attention and being applauded. Physically, they have a sunny look, with blonde, gold or coppery hair, and they walk with a straight, sometimes stiff posture. Their features are usually arranged pleasingly, and they have a ready smile. Leos attract other people with their enthusiasm and natural leadership qualities, and are often inspiring to pupils or anyone they instruct, which they love doing, by the way. They find it easy to order people around, having a natural organizing ability, but they should be careful to not be too domineering and to allow others a say in how things should be done. Leo loves performing and will often be a little show-off as a child, wanting praise and recognition. The Leo person likes to be liked above all and has an affectionate nature, feeling hurt when snubbed by people who find them a bit much, which may make them feel dejected, but only for a short while. They are often better at the big picture than fine detail, and may be rather reckless and slapdash in their presentation, but many people are happy to carry out their big plans and to add finesse to them. Leos are very brave when protecting their loved ones, and are sincere and heartfelt when expressing their feelings. Virgo is a negative and mutable earth sign, so, unlike Taurus, the first earth sign, Virgos are generally busier and quicker in their ways, more than the plodding Taurus. Many Virgoans appear to be standoffish and very self-contained, but they are simply reserved in manner and want to know a bit more about people before they commit to friendships or relationships. They are good at attention to detail and become irked if plans aren't followed precisely. However, being a mutable sign, they are able to adapt to changes as long as their well-ordered routine isn't disrupted too much. They are often scrupulously hygienic and like a neat and tidy home and workspace. They can also be quite nervy and will fidget a lot, or worry about what some would see as small issues, but which can take on a lot of importance for them. The earth of their sign is displayed as an attention to practical detail, and they have the ambiguous nature of a dust storm blown through the fields or desert. Physically, they often have a quiet look, with soft or wavy brown hair and fine features, and will express themselves with their hands, like Gemini. They have a tendency to merge into the background and usually walk quickly with small steps. Virgo likes to go about their own business in a methodical way and is quite content with not receiving praise for their efforts. They are also happy to provide service to others in a quiet and unassuming way. Virgoans should be careful not to be too critical of others' standards of cleanliness and hygiene, which may not be as high as their own. They have a tendency to nag, because they hate to see sloppiness, and sometimes it is wiser for them to hold back the criticism. Virgos enjoy expressing themselves artistically and musically, always aiming for perfection, but can be timid about wholeheartedly expressing themselves, often pulling back for fear of failure. Libra is a communicator of ideas, a gatherer of people together, a diplomat who keeps groups of people content and happy. They are often devoted to the well-being of their partner and family, and will want to keep the peace as to keep the union strong. As with Taurus, also ruled by Venus, they have a desire for happiness, contentment, and the good things in life. They can be materialistic in as much as they want the outer trappings of their life to reflect their success in life. They will actively dislike being in uncongenial surroundings and will be upset by situations they find difficult to understand. Libra can be idealistic and will sometimes put their loved one on a pedestal, being disappointed if they do not fit in with their ideals. They always want to make the best of themselves and present a good image, and they would like their partner and their children to do the same. Librans dislike confrontation and harsh words, disharmony in other words. They should be also careful not to be too vapid, often avoiding making a judgment because they cannot weigh up matters quickly enough. They are able to see both sides of any problem or situation, which can be helpful in some situations, but a hindrance in others. Librans will try to please all of the people all of the time, which can cause them stress. They are often very attractive in appearance and manner, and have a pleasantly modulated voice. Scorpio can suffer from inner conflict arising from the dual influences on their signs. Their negative influence manifests itself by causing them to keep their feelings to themselves, but also allowing them to hold reserves of strength if needed. Scorpionic people possess intensity of feeling and may be all or nothing in their approach. They can become overly attached to people, and the Scorpio with more of the Scorpion's influence will be very possessive, becoming very involved in the lives of their nearest and dearest. They can suffer feelings of resentment and may also harbour deep-seated grudges, being over-secretive. The Scorpio with more of the Eagle's influence will not suffer fools gladly, and will have a detached view of the world around them, keeping an eagle eye on the doings of those close to them. They invest heavily emotionally, but often find it very hard to express their feelings. Scorpios are often passionate with causes, hobbies, or their loved ones, and enjoy convivial times with friends and family. Often charismatic, with a brooding, dark appearance, and intensity of gaze, Scorpio does nothing by halves. Sagittarians generally have many interests and will want to express themselves in their own time and space. It is very easy for Sagittarians to let their minds wander, so self-discipline is something they need to work on. They usually have a ready wit and are not overly concerned about tidiness in their surroundings or workplace. They occasionally appear to have an arrogant manner because they are often quite singular in their approach and like to go about their business in their own way. Sagittarians love the freedom of the outdoors and enjoy freedom in relationships too, often not wanting to commit for fear of missing out on whatever else is on offer. They have an adventurous spirit, resenting being tied down, loving to be out and about, getting involved in social events and generally passing the time. They have an active mind and a restless energy, but are also capable of deep thought and philosophical musings. Sagittarians do enjoy pontificating on matters and should take care not to hog the limelight, especially when they are in the mood to tell jokes, which can be rather coarse at times. However, Sagittarius is generally a cheerful delight to be with and will wholeheartedly take part in all activities which are available. Their appearance is healthy with a ruddy complexion and often an aquiline nose. Their hair is dark or brunette, often being swept back over a high or domed forehead, and they usually walk with a long stride, having strong legs. Capricorns are often in danger of becoming mired in responsibility and can become old before their time. The planetary ruler of Capricorn, Saturn, imbues the Capricornian with a sense of grim determination to see things through. The cardinal earth means that they will stick at tasks, pursuing their goals to the bitter end. In general, the Capricorn person wants to feel safe and secure, and wishes to be the provider of safety and security for themselves and their family, and can be single-mindedly ambitious in achieving these aims. They are often serious characters, preferring to deal with tasks on their own, eschewing offers of help from the outside, and are also quite happy spending hours alone. They are often good problem solvers and a loyal, faithful partner and friend. The Capricornian also needs to beware of becoming too miserly in the interests of economy and being too obsessive about sticking to their rules of punctuality and order. They can also be hoarders, clinging on to reminders of the past. Capricorns are often grave in bearing, with a long, sometimes lined face. They may suffer from skin problems, often having had acne when younger. They have dark or reddish hair and walk with a purposeful gait, usually being fairly loose-limbed. Aquarius is a disseminator of ideas and new ways of thinking, and they will definitely blow away the cobwebs in any setting. Aquarians enjoy talking with groups of people, exchanging ideas, and being stimulated by the thought processes which surround them. Like Gemini, the first air sign, Aquarians often express themselves with their hands. Aquarius is also the sign of the inventor, and Aquarians love to find new ways of doing just about anything. They like to have a few projects on the go, and may need to apply themselves if they wish to complete something. They are often described as being eccentric, and may dress in an unconventional way. There is certainly something perverse about the way they often deliberately go against the grain of accepted thought to challenge preconceptions. However, they should be careful not to become set in their ways of thinking, opposing ideas and suggestions for the sake of it. Aquarians can be outspoken, and sometimes even revel in the idea of upsetting the accepted wisdom. This is because they are open-minded and have no side to them. What you see is what you get with Aquarius. They want to be at the forefront of any new ways of thinking and will want to experience the cutting edge of new scientific and technological thought. Aquarians also enjoy the world of the internet and social media and will happily spend hours on a computer or sending phone messages. Aquarius is the maverick of the zodiac and loves to shock with their occasionally blunt responses. They often have fair or light brown hair and a youthful appearance with a good complexion, usually having a good bone structure. They have delicate ankles, which they should be careful not to turn when walking. Pisces is a mystical sign, signifying the existence within the unconscious mind, which is often given over to fantasy. Pisces is influenced by both Jupiter and Neptune, the expansive Jupiterian side manifesting itself in the Piscean easygoing, friendly, helpful nature, which often masks the Neptunian influence of secrecy. Pisceans find it difficult to keep their emotions under control and respond in an emotional way to events in their lives. The nature of the two fish pulling in opposite directions can create inner tension for Pisces, and they find it very difficult to make up their minds and stick to a decision. Unfortunately, Pisces can be pulled in less than desirable directions because of a lack of willpower, and may later regret their involvement with people whose intentions towards them are less than the best. Pisceans can also be very self-indulgent and over-generous with their time and money, eventually becoming mired in self-pity and regret. They should be careful not to engage in duplicity and avoid falling prey to depravity, which is an all too easy route for a Piscean to follow if they become low in spirits. It is a good idea for Pisces to realize that they cannot keep all of the people happy all of the time, and to draw on strengths from other signs in their character. It is worth noting that Pisceans are good at taking on personas, like Gemini, making good actors, as they are able to take on the character. They are usually creative and intuitive too, often being very expressive musicians. It is important for Pisces to avoid spending too much time in the realm of the unconscious mind, as this can lead them to living in a fantasy world. Pisceans often have a dreamy or troubled appearance, with soft hair and large dark eyes, and they will walk in a slow and meandering way. Occasionally the eyes may be protruding and their mouths may be loose. Piscean feet are either very large or very dainty. Now you know the characteristics of all the astrological signs. So, now what? Well, we have the perfect guide for you, Astrolations. Written by Jill Carr, who also provided the words for this video. It is the perfect guide to discover how you relate to others throughout your life using the power of astrology. It's available right now from OBooks. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for future content, and we'll see you next time.